Thank you very much, Winston. It's always a pleasure to speak on this stage. For most of my life, I worked in the lumber industry, and I never would have imagined then that I'd be standing here talking to you now. 8.5 years ago, I was managing a sawmill when an incident happened that brought me to my absolute lowest point, physically and mentally. The obstacles I faced were extensive. One moment changed my life in so many ways and also set me on my new path. So I want to share how focusing on the positive aspects of your story can open up new opportunities. Here are just a few examples of how I chose to look at the supernatural in my circumstances rather than let myself get permanently stuck in my struggles. The definition of a miracle is a surprising and welcome event that is not explained by natural or scientific laws and is therefore determined to be the work of a divine agency. I experienced a near-death traumatic accident where I was crushed by 12,000 pounds of wood. I had logs on me and pushing up against me. That in itself is a tragedy you are not supposed to overcome. But I choose to look at that one moment this way. There were miraculous feats of strength occurring around me. One man pushed the last 3 logs off of me when he was rescuing me by himself. Those were the longest and heaviest ones, weighing approximately 4,000 pounds. That is one of those feats of strength fueled by adrenaline that just blows my mind. Here's something that goes along with that. When I was finally rescued from the machine I was crushed into, I wasn't breathing. I had been unconscious and without oxygen for 12 minutes. Every single person thought I was dead. But I suddenly and unexpectedly started breathing on my own, which was surprising to all who witnessed it. Here's an incredible miracle. This is the height of the space my entire head and upper body was crushed into. Only 5 inches. Now the width of my head alone is 6 3/8 inches. A skull is not supposed to have that much give to it. Now that immense pressure caused my entire head to be a deep purple, blue, and red color. That severe and deep bruising is called petechiae. And I had the worst stage you could have, which is usually only found post-mortem in strangulation victims. The miracles surrounding my head are just amazing to me. Here's something else. The CT scan showed my Adam's apple was crushed, yet I could still talk. The main doctor was shocked. Here's another fascinating miracle. It was determined that by the paramedics and the doctors that I was experiencing organ failure. That's what their main concern was. They could not find a consistent pulse anywhere on my body. When we were in the hospital, we learned that when your body gets crushed, it goes through what is called crush syndrome. It releases chemicals into your body. And in the worst case, can cause septic shock. My body was going through septic shock, and why I was being monitored around the clock. Now, septic shock is supposed to turn your bodily fluids a thick, dark brown color, yet my bodily fluids were clear. The critical care nurses were amazed at this. But there's one more miracle I want to share, and that's the people. I remember every single person who came to visit me in the months when I could barely move and couldn't leave my house. They listened to me, encouraged me, and supported me. Kids I used to coach football were now telling me, "You can do it, coach. I believe in you." Their support and prayers meant the world to me. See, encouragement fosters confidence. Wayne Dyer said, "If you believe it'll work out, you will see opportunities. If you believe it won't, you will see obstacles." The only thing that stands between you and what you want in life is the will to do it and the faith to believe it's possible. Now, I want you to think to yourself about the 5 questions I'm going to ask and see if any of these apply to you. Who here has had a physical injury of any kind? Who suffers from PTSD or anxiety? Has anyone ever had a concussion or brain injury? Who has asthma or lung disease? And has anyone ever suffered deep grief or loss? Now, I could see by the show of your hands, everyone in the room raised your hand to at least one of those questions. Now, each of those is isolating and challenging. I know firsthand because I'm left with multiple injuries. But I look at those as an opportunity for deeper connection because we can relate to each other through our challenges. Your story can help people. It will resonate with others. Allowing yourself to show vulnerability builds empathy and understanding. Now, making the decision to see the positives showed me the hope and possibilities in my situation. I realized this wasn't the end of my story, but the beginning. Practicing gratitude has gotten me through the darkest of times. In fact, the most powerful strategy which has made the biggest difference in my life, embracing and telling my story. I was able to heal and grow through the process of sharing my story with others. You don't have to let yourself get stuck in the pain of your story. And you don't have to wait for your story to be done to start sharing it. When you change your story, you change your life. And that's exactly what I did. I changed my story. Look to the person next to you and say, relax, your story's not over yet. Now, I've been able to achieve what most would say was impossible by focusing on what I can do and letting go of what I can't. In the last 2 years, I graduated with my Bachelor's of Business degree, authored my first book, Miracle in a Mill. I created Story Academy. I'm a certified practitioner and coach of neuro-linguistic programming, and I'm also trained in timeline therapy and hypnosis. You see, at the core of every achievement, there is an awareness of the difficulties that are present and having the confidence, persistence, and patience to realize your goals. Since I launched my book, I've spoken at well over 50 places, which included speaking on the TEDx stage. And coming up in October, I'll be speaking at the International Forum for Disability Management. The stories of struggles and challenges are the stories that need to be told. Be honest about your obstacles and how you overcame adversity. You can help and inspire people to reach higher because everyone can relate to experiencing challenges. People will tell themselves, if they can do it, so can I. Your story can do the same for you. And there is something to be learned from each one of our experiences. Now, I think we need to spend more time and more resources on learning and telling better stories. In our personal lives, businesses, and social circles, storytelling is a skill that many don't have anymore, but it's all because we don't study, teach, and learn it. And thanks, Winston, for giving us the opportunity on this stage to share our stories. In 2006, there was a study published in the journal Neuroimage, and researchers in Spain determined that when it comes to inspiring people to understand a new change in themselves, storytelling is the only thing that works. Storytelling is one of the most powerful ways we have to communicate and motivate. We think in stories. It's the best way to make sense of and organize the information in our brains. Stories are going to give your message more context, purpose, and meaning. They encourage people to take action. Your stories will give you deeper and more personal connections with others. Stories are what I call connection magic. And they'll have you stand out because no one has the uniqueness of your story. And they're going to keep you remembered. I created a future for myself because I believe opportunities create stories and stories create opportunities. I have found my purpose in helping and empowering others to find their voice because I found my own. I challenge and encourage you to see the opportunities that lie in your own story. There's two ways to look at it. There's obstacles or opportunities. Remember, you have a story and your story matters. Thank you very much.